Hello guys and welcome back. So now we're going to do some more compositing on our renders, and I'm gonna import the old fog passes that I've created, and I'm going to use this version for now. And let's start with the first file. So I found the file for the backlight, so it's called back. And let me show you what that is. I didn't change the light value, so I went with very dim lights, but I have to expose them here. And this is exactly the same fog as I showed, with just that light included. And again, I wanted to separate them so it was a little bit faster, but you guys don't have to do this. And these are the original render settings for the passes. Let me go back to the out context. These are the settings. I used 422, 422, nothing else here. And each time I include a specific volume, and then the lights I want them to affect that volume. So here I have another pass with the back, including just the point light behind this guy, and I made a copy that I exposed 8 times because I didn't have time to set up the passes. So yeah, let's go back. So let's import some stuff. Not that for sure. So let's import the back. Let's call this back. Doing that, so let's put down a bright node. Let's increase this to 10. Okay, cool. And let's copy this and import the fog lava. Let's increase the brightness. Okay, cool. And let's copy this. Let's try with our temp volume. We don't need to expose it because we did a great job. Okay, and later I'll switch to use the new volume. The previous version. Oh, come on. Let's do this. I'm gonna copy the file and I'm gonna copy the file, pause, and come back. Okay, we're back, and I'm going to do something to speed up the process of cops. Now there is that thumbnail drawing that is taking a little bit of time to compute, and once we're inside the network, I'm going to turn that off. And I have all the passes here, so I'm going to import them, and let me go under, where is it? Can't remember, view, show note, preview. Cool. So this is the new volume, one we did together. I'm gonna copy that, and we're gonna import one called fog, which is the version I previously did, but that is much dimmer. Okay, so this is the one. It also included some more. Pardon me, it also included some more lights. That's why we're getting these two guys, but they're very similar in terms of details here. And then all lights, so create a file. And from this guy, we're gonna pick specific lights. We don't want the fog to be from everything, so we can use just the AV from I call them nebula for the texture, so we can use just that, or we can use the key lights, which are, to be honest, a little bit different than the image we have, but I'll show the concept of it, and hopefully you guys can take it further. Okay, so let's start adding some volumes. Okay, so I'm gonna add a delete node and just keep the C context, because we're going to be merging them here with this guy. I'm going to add a delete just to keep that as well. So let's put down an add node. Let's take a look. Oh, okay, so the resolution for these guys is bigger. I'm going to reformat them to specific, sorry, not specific depth, custom resolution. Cool. And you can see now, because it's really bright over there, it's hard to see the volume. So we can increase the volume, but it will be much better to get more interesting visual with a dimmer environment. So I'm gonna reduce it a little bit more, which is, no, hold on a second. Yeah, we have 0.5 here, and I think, let me go, I think the backlight is a little bit too strong in this case. Pardon me. But we'll go with 0.8, something like that. I think it's better to just separate all the AVs and reduce the intensity of that light by itself. So let's increase it more. Let's try 100. Yeah, this may work. If we go much more intense in there, I think could fit with the environment a lot better. Okay, let's see, what else do we have? We have the lava. Pardon me. And I'm going to change the resolution. Sorry, not detect. I'm going to copy this. And let's add it with the environment and let's see what we get. Cool, we have something interesting. Let's add more brightness to it. Let's try 25. It's too much. Let's try 20. I think that works better. And remember, these color are different than, a little bit different than the original one. So for this one, I'd like to make a little bit more contrast. So I'm gonna add a gamma node, and I'm gonna reduce the gamma so it only shows up at the bottom. So something like that. And I'm gonna add a bright node. Let's increase it. Let's lower the gamma. I want it to be localized, a bit more localized, or a lot more localized. And let's try 20. Try 15. And let's add this instead. Okay, so I'm gonna desaturate this. So HSV, desaturate this guy just a tiny bit. And we can also shift the hue to make it fit the environment a bit better. Yeah, that works. Okay, let's continue. So let's add them both now with this and this. And then the last part is these guys. Let's try with our new render, which we have to scale. And let's take a look. So add this, this. Nice. I think, yeah, these guys are the main core for this effect. Everything else is just complements the image. And this is the new version. I'm gonna use the old one because it's rendered at higher resolution, and it has more details as well. So I'm gonna increase that, and let's scale it down. Cool. So that basically works. And what I'd like to do is I want to make the top of all of this brighter. So I'm gonna copy this guy, and I don't need the gamma. I'm gonna connect it here, and let's increase that. So one thing, let me try and see if I can, if I limit this. Oh, no, it's not gonna work. So I want it to be more localized. So let's set this to 0.3, and let's increase this to 40. Yep, so it's going to look really nice now. And let's add that back to the image, and let's see how that looks. Let's turn it off. Let's do a switch to compare. So that with that, you can see now we're adding this touch here. Well, it's not a touch, it's very strong, so let's reduce it down to 30, and let's desaturate it a bit. Okay, that works. And then I wanted to make another version as well, so I'm gonna copy this. I'm gonna reduce this to 0.1. Let's see if we can squeeze more stuff. Nah, it's too low. Let's try 0.2. Something like that. And that point is not gonna help us a lot here. Trying to get a hotspot in those areas. So let's add a bright node. Fortunately, we're gonna have to increase it. Sorry, not a switch. We need an add. That's why. Okay, yeah, that's the effect. I wanted to get more core here and desaturate it to give it more volume, basically. Okay, let's add all of this together. Cool. I think the back is, I'm not liking the back, so I'm gonna set it to 20. I still don't like how strong it is, and I'm not gonna, the way to fix it is I have to split all the lights and then put them back on the same way, which is not hard. You just split the AVs, but it's time consuming, and I'm not gonna do that at the moment. And I want to try something really quick, so I'm gonna switch between this version and the other one, this guy, and see what we get. Cool. So I think this one is working much nicer with this with the fog and all. It's definitely very interesting. But let's continue with this nevertheless. This guy has, I have more lights here. I have this light and I have this light, which are also in a different path. So what I'd like to do, I'm gonna put down a channel copy, and I want to take a look at those. So I believe they're called left. Sorry, I'm gonna copy them to C, and I believe they're called left and right. Yes, that guy. And then another one called right. That's what I called them. And I want to increase that. I really like that glow next to the, close to the camera. Ooh, too much. Okay, let's brighten this up. Yes, very cool. It's a very interesting effect. And let me gamma this guy down and see if we can squeeze more information from it. Too much. Let's reduce this to 0.9, 0.8, 0.5, too much. Okay. Let's HSV this guy to desaturate it. And let's add it back in. Okay, and let's see how that looks. Yeah, it's a little bit too strong, but I'll keep it. And I'm gonna copy the same thing and just use it with this guy, which is the left side. And let's add it to this section. Okay, it's too much, clearly, but not bad. So HSV, I want to desaturate this guy. Yeah, something like that. I think this works. Okay, what else do we have? We have some more stuff. We have all. So this guy has more lights as well. So clearly we need the fog for the portals. So let's copy the portals. I called them nebula. And my graph is getting messy quickly, so let me move this here. Let's move this guy here and add, use an add node, combine this. And let's reformat it. So let's see what we can squeeze. Yeah, that's good. I like this. Now, this is where the LUT stuff comes in. If we were in a linear space, this is what we will be getting. You may be able to squeeze some details, but it's not going to be anywhere near. And doing compositing in this ASYS workspace is nowhere near anything you do in a normal compositing like in an sRGB space. You can see already here it's not clamping, it's not doing anything, it's just nicely fading and getting all those nice highlights and stuff, and it's just amazing. So this is another version that we could use as well. Okay, let's continue and let's not go crazy with these guys. So something like that, and I want to add more glow here. So same trick, I'll grade them down and brighten them up. Okay, let's try 5. Let's add, let's use a layer. I want to add a couple of these guys. So here, here, and I'm gonna merge this, and the operation is add. Okay, let's see. So this is before, this is after. Let's increase it more. Yep. Cool. So it would be nicer if we had the emission from this actual object, but I didn't do that. Okay, so it's very different than the original one I did, which is okay. Let's try with the other guy. This is the switched version. Yeah, I think this is too much, so I'm gonna take it all down. Yeah, something like that. And this is too much, so let's take it down 10. And it looks like this is the other version, so let's set it to 0. Cool. Yeah, the texture is very important. Okay, let's continue and see what we have. here. We have another very important pass that I'd like to do, and I think we're done with these guys. The middle is also very cool to add. There. And let's see. I mean, we can do another version where this is a center of interest. Let's see which one. Key lights. What's in key lights? Okay, so these are all the key lights in the scene. I think I need top 1 and top 2, which is these two guys. Nope. So let's use the key lights. Fortunately, it includes everything, but hopefully we can show some details only in that area. So let's copy this. Let's add it here, and let's add a bright node. Too much, so let's set it to 5, 2, yeah, something like that. And of course, it's much more realistic to have the full scene, to have the scene with this fog pass with the correct light location. And let's see what else. So I'm gonna turn off this for a second, and I want to show some more stuff. So this may be a little bit heavier, but I need the P pass. I need this info to have the P position. Okay, so there is this very awesome node in COPS called fog, and it uses the P position. It automatically reads the P position, and I'm gonna limit the scope to only C so that it works faster. And let me gain it down. And it generates a 3D noise based on the position. So you can see now we're getting some really cool fog in there. And let me go to the fog and change it to additive. Let's see. Okay. And let's go to noise and tick on use noise fog. And let's see. Yeah, we don't want that. It should read P automatically. So let me reduce the density here. Obviously we need a lot lower density, and we can go to the noise tab and increase the frequency. You can see it creates some really nice elements. Let's change it to normal. Let's make sure it's 10 across all axes. It's too much. Let's try 3, 3, 3. And you can see now we're adding more breakups to this scene by just using the P pass, and this is like a Z depth. And yeah, I think that's pretty much it. The next node I wanted to talk about is let me check. I wanted to show how to do a chroma aberration. So I'm gonna copy the setup previously created, and there's this node here called radial blur, which makes a lot of sense. It's gonna do a radial blur. You can set the angle to 0 and work on the radial blur only, and then we can mask that. So let me copy the section I have previously created. I'm gonna paste that. Let's disable this. Let's connect this guy and see the ramp. Okay. Let me change the resolution to match the new one, and then I'm copying the sorry, let's start. I'm copying the channel, the red channel, the blue channel, the green channel into separate into C, into the colors. So basically setting the other two components to black and then applying a different radial for each one of them. So this one has a slightly negative radial, this one has a positive, just a tiny bit different, and then I add them all back together and that shifts the red, green and blue. You can see now that as the realistic photographic effect, which is called chroma aberration. You can see it here, and all done in Comps. Cool. Let's see what else do we have. I wanted to show a way to clean the specular, so let's do it here. So this is our specular here, and I'm gonna do a channel copy, and I'm going to I'm gonna shuffle the diffuse indirect, okay, to its own channel. And there is also we didn't do it. Okay, it's fine. So this is the diffuse by itself, which I'm going to subtract from this image. So this is the original image. I'm going to subtract this guy. Subtract this from this. This is how it works. So this is everything except the indirect diffuse. Now we may be getting into the negative range if the pixel is going super high in some of the regions, so we have to be very careful. And so we've subtracted the indirect diffuse, and then I can apply a denoise, which is something in Houdini by default. And I'm gonna set the iteration to 10 and the diffuse to 0.05. Okay, just a tiny bit. And then I'm gonna add that back into the image. So now we've only changed the indirect diffuse, and this is the original, and this is after the clean. Okay, let's try and do one more thing. Let's do a channel copy. I'm gonna channel copy the specular indirect. I really don't like denoising this, but just for the sake of the example, I will do it. I really recommend getting it as clean as possible from the render and or tweak the bump so it's not that noisy. But there's a lot of cool stuff here. So subtract this from that. Okay, now this is the image without the indirect specular. You can see how much it's adding to the image. And I'm gonna run a denoise as well on the specular. So this is the original and this is with denoise, and then I'm gonna add that back onto the image. This is the original, and this is after the small denoise. And we can do this operation here. And here. So we're denoising the, okay, let's see. So we're taking it again and doing a denoise on it. Now the result here is a little bit different, so the subtraction may hurt some pixels, but overall you can see we don't have a lot of noise except these areas which I prefer to clean in the render, but overall here it's much more cleaner now. See, this is the original one and this is after the cleaning process happened. So let's use that. I think it's fine. And then what else? And then the rest is just tweaking, to be honest. There's nothing, there's not a lot to explain here. I think you guys have a very good idea. The rest is your artistic approach and what you and the idea that you have and what you would like to do. Cool. So now all we have to do is file ROP this guy, and if you're saving it as an EXR, then you don't have to change anything except making sure that the gamma is applied, is set to 1. If we need it as an image, then we need to change it to, let's say $hip / out temp comp dot JPEG. We need to apply the gamma. So here I have that LUT from the ACES workflow. It's the one that gets loaded automatically when we set this. And let's see, let me do a test. See if I need, I can't remember if I need to set the gamma to something else. Yeah, we need to set the gamma to 1. So this is the JPEG image saved to disk with these settings, and you have to apply the LUT, otherwise you're not gonna get the final image with the final data. Now, there is a lot of stuff I still like to do in this comp, but I spent too much time already. And primarily is we need this to be the focus. We need these guys to be the focus. And right now there is a lot of illumination overall that I don't like. I'm simply gonna kill that. I don't need that much. And I think if we switch to this version, we are in a better shape. Let's see what we get. And let me turn off that fog. And the reason the fog is generating that is because we've been adding all the AUVs together, so P is getting added multiple times. That's why the values are so out of range. I like this version a bit better, but there is stuff that I'd like to fix as well in this. And let me show the final version that I've already done. This one. So this is the final version that I previously did, and it's very close to what we have now. Let me open the one. So this one has less color correction. You can see there is more saturation here. There's a little bit of color. This one has more color correction. You can see that happening here. The center is more balanced. I like this a little bit more, but the new rim light is definitely something I'd like to add for this. The fall off of these guys is helping illuminate these sections which are not lit in the current scene. So that's something really important to fix right away. And yeah, I think it's very close to what we have here. I mean, we have all the data, and just a matter of tweaking this a little bit more. And then one last thing I wanted to show. Houdini has a lot of cool color correction tools. So there's a color curve node, and if I view that, if you click edit color curve, you get an editor where you can specify a ramp per channel, and this is really powerful, especially with the information that we have with this LUT. There's so many things that we can do to make this image way more interesting. So we can take the red, for example, and you can add points by just clicking. Come on. Yeah, so you can just click, and now we're controlling the red channel individually. You can play with the curves for each one of them, and see how much data we have in this image. It's not clamping at all. We have a lot of information in the dark values. Also gives you a preview, which is nice. So this is definitely a very powerful way if you want further tweaking of the colors on the image and create some further LUTs that you like. And this is just one idea. Let's see. And I'm not sure how to delete points, but you guys get the idea. So we can control, do some very interesting color correction using this. And then another node that I like a lot is called grain. And I'm going to add this here. And this is actually a very, very powerful node. That the grain generated is very interesting. Definitely not this though. So let me delete all the channels to make sure that we're not interfering with anything. Yeah, definitely. It needs all the channels to be off for it to work properly. And I'm going to change the grain color this towards the blue, which feels more realistic. And I'm gonna reduce the grain size. And let's reduce the amplitude as well. Oh, just a tiny bit. Maybe we can go a bit higher. Just a tiny bit of film grain helps, goes a long way as well in making this a bit more realistic. Obviously with the web and all, there's a lot of compression happening. So I think that's pretty much it. We're very close to this result. This is a close-up render of just this section. There is no modifier or anything. This is another close-up render for just this region, and this is the original render I previously did. I honestly like the new one better in terms of lighting information, but the backlight is not working really well, and maybe you will build something different that hopefully has a lot more balanced lights. Thank you guys for watching, and see you in the next video. Bye bye.